What better way to give you an idea of what it was like to work at Alexander McQueen than to walk you through the design process and pattern making process of one of the craziest looks I made while I was working there. In fact, I think it was probably the craziest look that anyone had seen there. When the designer brought the design down to mannequin, everyone in the studio stopped what they were doing and stared at it and was like, "Hi, welcome to Pattern Making with Leigh."
This jacket was the first pattern I ever created for the leather team at McQueen.
So this is my trial piece. If I did a good job, I got to stay. If I didn't,
I know I'm a bit biased, but look at this jacket and look at the painting on it. These were all hand painted by artisans in Paris right before the show.
just to quickly walk you through the sampling process. For the leather team, I worked in-house with the head designer and her team of design assistants to create the patterns and the prototype sample, which is then sent to the leather factory owned by Kering, who owns McQueen, and the sample for the runway was made there, and then it was sent directly to the show where it was hand painted.
This jacket was just the original idea, and it was a good one. Sarah, the creative director, and her stylist loved it. And from this original idea came a whole series of looks, which is what a good collection does to create consistency and build a cohesive story.
If you're a designer, this will also help you save money because you can reuse parts of the pattern, you can mix and match pieces, put different components together. But I got ahead of myself. How did this whole thing start? As I said, this is the first pattern I did from this designer. I knew she was coming down because the studio manager told me, hey, they needed a pattern maker for the other team now. We're thinking of making it you, so the designer will come talk to you later. So I'm sitting at my desk, sort of patiently waiting for her to come down, and she walks in the room with this mannequin, and the mannequin is covered in this old deconstructed leather jacket or old sample, and it's been twisted and pinned and stapled together, and on top of it are all these skateboarding shoulder pads, knee pads, elbow pads, and obviously they were spray painted black, so it looked very nice and designer, but everyone stopped what they were doing. It was the craziest thing, and it was not particularly maybe a McQueen look, so everyone was just like, what is this? And she kind of put it down there and was like, told me what she wanted. It was off you go, and everyone was kind of staring at me, and people literally came over to me and were like, good luck.
And if you look at the final sample again, you can see how all these skateboarding elements have been incorporated into the design.
So you don't always get to work from a beautiful trade sketch with a front and back view. Sometimes you create patterns from old deconstructed leather jackets with skateboarding pads stuck to them, which is actually a lot of fun. It's A, it's experimental, and B, when a design isn't completed and the designer gives you kind of a concept rather than a finished detailed sketch, you get to get involved in the process too. All this crazy design detailing has to go on something, a base. And the base is actually pretty simple. It's got a center front zip, just a straight armhole. The shoulder seam is extended a bit. It's got two darts coming down from the bust there to spread the dart axis a bit more evenly.
And once I was happy with the fitted base, I added the bust cup style lines. Then I moved on to the sleeve. I started with a basic fitted sleeve. See how it's quite fitted at the top? I couldn't find a photo of the back, but the back continues down like this.
So I cut the basic sleeve out in calico, put it on my mannequin, and I drew where I wanted the zip to be. I need to draw both sides zip tape, so actually a bit of a gap there. And then I draped the lower part of the sleeve. The lower part of the sleeve actually sort of kicks out at the back there. So I need to add more volume and create a bit of a cone shape. The placement, size, and shape of these pads are all based on the drape that I got. So I grabbed a piece of calico and draped on top of the pads that was on the draped mannequin I received. And then I marked, drew around the edges to get the size and shape, and obviously then placed on my mannequin. And as you can see, this padding is, because it's actual skateboard padding, has a 3D quality to it. So to create that 3D quality, I had to add a lot of darts into it.
These darts had to be thoughtfully placed. See how the bodice darts continue down into the hip pads?
Once I had the size and shape of the pads all worked out, I had to work out how to attach them. As you can see, some of them are actually stitched to the bodice there, other ones actually lift away like the shoulder pad, and some, like the elbow pads, actually have a little strap attaching them. When I was happy with it, I invited the designer down to come check it out, and when she was happy, she signed it off, and I used the drape to create my own pattern. That's what I did one day at Alexander McQueen. Because this video is more about pattern making processes rather than a how to do it sort of drafting tutorial, I went through that all pretty quickly. But if you are interested in making your own patterns, make sure you grab the guides in my clicked pattern kits. They walk you step by step through the pattern making process and spend quite a lot of time explaining how to actually turn a drape or even a working pattern into a final pattern. So check that out. If you've got any questions, please leave a comment down below. You can also check out how I recreated this Balenciaga dress that Michelle Yeoh wore to the Oscars. And if you're a member of the channel, you can check out how I made this red flounce dress for Alexander McQueen too.